Hey everyone, I am the TheChosenOneLegend here, as always joined by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Kai, also known as Fascurreyn.
And welcome back to the BunchaJokahs podcast, where we talk gaming news from the past month, and we are once again on that sort of post-direct cooldown, where there's not too much happening.
Yeah, we're just kind of chilling at the moment. There's nothing too crazy going on. We've
I've
been
always...
busy, talking about Mario Kart and making speculation, and everyone telling us, "What about Diddy Kong?" Yeah, we know. Anyway.
Diddy who? I mean, but I do appreciate that the cooldown to get through the backlog and maybe finish Tears of the Kingdom one day, making gradual progress. But
yeah,
there's been some other stuff in the meantime. We've definitely got a few little bits to talk about, as well as the Mario Kart tracks, because we've done some shorts, but we haven't actually discussed them in depth yet. So all of that will be in this video, and of course, as always, there are timestamps in the description below. So if you want to go cut ahead to any of your particular moments, you can do so in the description. But if you're ready, Kai, we'll get started with our first segment, which is...
I'm ready.
Can't have a podcast about news, baby. I almost forgot the segment I've been doing for 3 years. You think it should be on the back of my mind at this point. But yes, This is where we talk about the news topics. And starting things off, we're going with the big one really for this month, which is Mario Kart Booster Course Pass. Mario Kart DLC Wave 5. We got two new cups, the Feather Cup and the Cherry Cup, with returning tracks such as Daisy Cruiser and Cooper Cape, as well as new ones like Athens, Vancouver, and the Bathroom. And this is a really strong set. I don't know how you found it, Kai, because we did play it together on your stream, and there's a short of that on the channel already.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really good selection in general.
Yeah, and if you're talking about those 3 new characters that got introduced, I guess you really could call it a booster cast.
Yeah, exactly. Intentional.
Yeah, no, the tracks were good though. They were very fun as usual. Very good additions, very good ones to bring back, and of course the tour tracks were fun. Yeah, there's not really much to complain about here apart from you beating me on most of them.
Yeah. What can I say? It's just pure skill, nothing to do with items. But it's like Cooper Cape is one of my favourites going back to the Wii, which is one of my nostalgia games. So that's really great to see here brought back. The Bathroom track really has so much to it. Like just in concept alone, it's ridiculous and such a fun idea. But the little ways that you can take an entire shortcut from like the water bursting out of the toilet, which I have some issues on the cleanliness of that, but otherwise it's just really creative. Like when you go down the pipe in the bathtub as well. I don't know what they're on at Mario Kart development, but they should keep at it.
Yeah, it was interesting how half that track ended up being the drainage, basically. But
yeah,
it's always interesting, especially when you've got that bit, for example, in the bath part just before that. Like, it's strangely open in areas, and I've noticed a couple of tracks do that. And it's not a bad thing, to be clear, but it's very interesting how they've laid out these tracks, and especially bringing in the tour ones with their different lap designs. It seems like they've widened what's classed as a track. A lot of it, they've gotten rid of a lot of the traditional style and gone for like random open areas, like we say, or different lap designs, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's good to have that mix, because of course the retro tracks do have still the traditional style, so yeah, I like it. It's good.
It's nice that the DLC has its own flair, and I wonder if that's something they're going to, take note of, and maybe they're experimenting in preparation for Mario Kart 9. Whenever that happens, not that they need to release it because somehow 8 still sells, but they're definitely stuff here that they could take forwards. Incorporate the sort of multiple crisscrossing, going, reversing on tracks thing that they're doing with the tour tracks, and implement it into brand new tracks. Like, I mean, they even added it to Peach Gardens, the DS track. So they've clearly shown that they're not against changing past tracks to incorporate that new mechanic. So I could see that being a big gimmick for them going ahead, I suppose.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Like, it's a good sign for the future, but then again, the future seems like we might be on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for another 10 years, so
Yeah.
who knows? Another booster course is certainly possible. I don't know how many tracks to bring back are actually remaining, but if this
Yeah.
ends up being the Smash Ultimate of Mario Karts where every track appears, then sure, like, that's fine, I guess.
Couldn't complain. Yeah, we've only got one confirmed set left, but I wouldn't be surprised if it keeps going in some form. Even just give us new battle tracks. I would happily accept more of those. So
Oh, that would be cool.
yeah, like is it Block Tower or Block Plaza or something from that's been like Wii, GameCube?
Yeah,
I'd love to
yeah,
see
yeah.
that in there. So or even a new version. So yeah, definitely continuing to be good. And for our next story, we have Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2 got another trailer, which is a game that I am very hyped for, if not for the fact it's releasing the same day as Mario Wonder, because game companies are cruel. But it was sort of a bit more of a story trailer where we sort of get a look at Harry Osborn's returning. We get our first proper look at Venom, not just Peter in the suit, but the antagonist Venom, who looks suitably terrifying. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to eventually get this one. I don't think you've played Spider-Man at all, Kai, but what did you think of what you saw of it?
No, I haven't played any of the games, but of course I've seen bits of them here and there, and they seem very good, obviously. Yeah, the trailer seems good. I liked it. I like how it set up the story. With introducing these characters. It's always interesting to see how different iterations of Spider-Man will happen. Of course, especially recently with the movies.
Yeah.
Of course, we do video games, so we don't talk hugely about superhero or comic book type stuff. But it's definitely been good to see Spider-Man still being relevant recently. And I like the take that this game has done on it. You've got Miles Morales there, you've got Venom, you've got the traditional Peter Parker. Like, they've got all the different key themes there of the different characters. Visually, it seems good. I've seen some bits of the gameplay, of course, and they seem really clean. Just overall, yeah, like a really solid game. Sequel.
Yeah, not really too much to say, but it looks like it's continuing to develop on what Spider-Man 1 did so well. And if I did had one mild complaint thing, and this I've had no one else say this, so it might just be completely a me thing, but for some reason some of the faces look a bit uncanny valley for me. I don't know what it is, but MJ kind of scares me. It might just be me because no one else is saying it, and also of course
Let me have another look.
yeah, it might, because I feel like Miles looks fine in that. Peter looks a little off, but they've changed his face like 4 times in these games, and they're continuing to do that. So who knows?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Even if it is a thing, it's such a minor complaint. Maybe it's just a case of the more realistic they get, the more you sort of notice when it's not realistic. But I don't know. I couldn't unsee it on that first watch, but I'll get over it.
Yeah, I can't really see any issues. I think I see where you're coming from, but no, I wouldn't have any complaints about that personally.
Maybe I've just spent too long in Tears of the Kingdom. I've forgotten what a real person looks like. I can only think of their weird me faces. It's
They need to be based off of me's, otherwise they're
it's
not
not right otherwise.
Oh dear. No, yeah, it looks very good. The whole Craven angle is very interesting as well.
Yeah.
I wonder. I mean, I don't know if this has been already talked about, but I wonder if that's going to interlink with the idea of all the other antagonist type forces they put in the game, such as Venom. Because I suspect I can already see the links that could be made from those 2 antagonists. So
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how they do it.
Definitely one to keep an eye on. And another thing we've got here to keep an eye on is Castlevania is getting, finally, it was announced years ago, it feels like at this point, but we got a trailer for Castlevania Nocturne, which is like a sequel series that takes place on a different Belmont. This time we're doing Richter, who of course is in Smash Bros. He's looking a lot less campy here and more, this is serious and terrifying, but that's much like the previous animated series. And I mean, not that you can tell too much, especially from my perspective, who I don't know Richter lore. It just looks like more of the same, and the previous series was insanely good, so I am very hyped for this coming out next month, basically, end of September.
Yeah, no, I agree. It looks really good. I really liked actually the audio from the trailer, like the music. Something about it, I was like, yeah, I'm paying extra attention to this. But yeah, the animation looks good, of course. Specifically, I'm really looking forward to seeing some of those battle scenes, you know, the fights that take place.
Yeah.
Because it already looks, just from the small snippets of it we've seen, that there's going to be a lot of creativity put into those. So that's a real highlight for me.
Because you haven't seen the previous Castlevania series, have you, Kai? At all?
I've seen season 1, I believe. I watched it with Samm, actually.
Right. I remember you saying.
Like a while back, but
Yeah.
I could not tell you a thing about it. Really.
If you get the chance, I know you're very busy, but if you get the chance, especially after season 1, which is only 4 episodes, it takes off and gets insane, and it's. I'm sure this is going to be more of the same, just incredibly good combat, very gory, but as long as you don't mind that kind of stuff, you're in for something fun. Yeah. And I think one of the specialties of the previous Castlevania series was just the character dynamic was so much fun. I mean, Trevor was a really, he could be serious, but he was also a very funny and protagonist, and he's like dynamic with both Cypher and Alucard, who I suppose could appear in this because he's a vampire and they live a long time. So as long as we didn't really see much of this, but as long as the characters, they get that right again, which I'm sure they will, I'm excited to see what Richter looks like personality-wise and how he's dynamic with his cast is, because that really is what brings it to life as well as the action. But looks promising at the very least.
Yeah, I agree. Just very, very cool vibes. Richter, I do like Richter being chosen as the next protagonist for this kind of thing. He's got a cool design. So yeah, I do wonder how they'll display his character, because in that trailer they showed him off as very, obviously serious, I think, because that's the overall idea they want to portray. But yeah, if they add in some other sort of light-hearted moments, or just a different side to him other than crying all the time, then, that's cool by me.
Exactly.
He did cry a lot in that trailer, if I'm remembering right.
Richter's just like me, for real. Relatable.
True.
I would definitely be crying Vast-Face with a vampire, that's for sure. But it'll be interesting to see how his character ends up being. I don't really know too much about the games. I've only seen little bits and bobs, so looking forward to see how that turns out. Not too long. I'll be talking about my opinions on the podcast, I'm sure. But the final trailer thing we've got for this month I want to talk about is one that I really wasn't expecting. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 is coming out. The big Smash Killer is back, which of course it wasn't, because they always say that. But to be fair, although it never lived up to that level of ridiculous overhype people put on it, it was a good game. It was on PlayStation Plus, so I played it, and it's compared when you think of the past with the Nicktoons races and that, which are just complete garbage. For it to actually have a decent competitive fighter game is cool, and the fact that it's coming back, but this time with voice acting at launch, with a story mode in some function, and more game modes in general. I'm glad to see it get a second chance. I'm not sure it's going to succeed because it's releasing a week after Mario Wonder and Spiderman, but it's still neat to see them try.
Yeah, no, I agree. The attempt is definitely appreciated, and the more we move away from the Smash Bros comparisons, the better, because it's just cool to see, and more than anything else, I think it's just it's just really funny. That trailer was one of the best ones I've seen in recent years. Yeah.
Of course, we've got Squidward coming, which was into the game, which was a big focus of the trailer, and they know their stuff, because I don't get many opportunities to talk about it on the podcast, but I am a huge SpongeBob nerd. I grew up basically only watching SpongeBob. So I picked out all the things they had him doing the Krakatoa from his Captain Magma when he becomes that superhero in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4. They have all sorts of ridiculous things. The handsome Squidward, of course, is there. doing like the whole twirl dance into the pole he does from that episode. They really know their stuff, and it shows. And that kind of personality is what makes a fighter like Smash Bros. So it's good to see that they're embracing that side of it, and Jimmy Neutron too, which is a fun one.
Yeah, they've so clearly put a lot of thought into this. It's how do you describe it? I'm losing my words now. But it's kind of in the same essence of how Smash Bros. Derives a lot of cool different references from the Nintendo series. Nicktoons is doing this, but obviously, it's a different form of media that they're drawing from. But the fact that they do like half of it through memes, or it feels like memes in a sense, I don't know, there's just something really cool about it, and I'm glad that they didn't just give like really basic movesets, and they did include genuine like pop culture references. It's very cool to see. It's like if one of Mario's taunts became Do the Mario. You know what I mean?
We can only imagine. We're going to be talking about the future of Smash Bros. A little bit down the line, actually, and that pretty much sums it up. That's all they need to add. But but yeah, it's very fun to see. I do. It'll be interesting, even though I'm probably not going to pick this up. I'll play it if it comes to PS Plus again or something. But I am interested to see who else they add. I don't think Timmy Turner was in the first game, and Fairly Odd Parents was a big childhood series of mine, so I feel like that's got to be in there or something. So there's more they can add for sure. But let's segue on to that then. So our final topic here is Smash Bros. Actually, of all things, because Sakurai continuing to make great YouTube content, and he did a video talking about Smash Bros. Brawl's development and how they sort of put a team together for that. But the main takeaway from this is how he ended it, talking about how he, in general, doesn't know what the future of Smash Bros. Will be. But the main sort of thing he implied here was that he can't see it done without him. And whereas a lot of the previous Smash Bros. Games, he's always said, like, this is going to be my last run, and then it never ends up being it. He almost seemed like he was on board for making a new one at some point. He just didn't know what it could be or what they should do. Which, I don't know, what do you think of all that, Kai? Like, his thoughts on that, or what you think Smash Bros. Could do, I guess.
I was surprised going into the video because I didn't think that was the approach he was going to take. Like, I thought for sure he was just going to say, we're done with it now, stop asking.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was very interesting to listen to how Smash Bros. Brawl was created in that video. And the process that went into that, where they just didn't tell him that it was being made. Yeah, I think that it's very curious that he did say there's a possibility of a future, but with the emphasis being on who's directing it. Because, of course, like we've said, the importance of these things is how much care gets put into them and attention from the right person who's leading the job.
Yeah.
And he can only currently see himself in that role. They've not found that person to reliably take over and do a good job. Because, of course, the stakes are so high for a Smash game.
Yeah.
So, I understand it. I understand, obviously, they're going to give a couple of years because we're not going to get another Smash Bros. Game on the Switch. It would be the next Nintendo console. And who knows what they're going to do for it. Of course, we're always praying for some form of good story mode.
Just port Subspace Emissary. I'll accept it.
You know what? Yeah, give us Subspace Deluxe, like with extra levels for the new characters to join. God,
yeah.
I'm here for it. I'll take it at this point. I'll take anything. But yeah, no. It's interesting that he's going to possibly continue the series later down the line, and I guess it's something maybe to address when we get closer to that point, when there is a new console. We can then say, well, with this new console's capabilities, what further ideas can we put forward?
Yeah.
For now, we don't really know.
Exactly. We could endlessly speculate, and of course the main big thing is, do they, if they're going to start cutting the roster, how do you make something better than Ultimate? You have to do something different. Sakurai sort of addresses that himself, I believe, talking about doing something differently and what you would do differently. But who knows what that would be at this point? Story, like you said, story's always potential, but either way, like Smash Ultimate, as much as I would love story, and heck, I would just take it if they ported Smash Ultimate and added new characters. Like, I would be fine with that. But as is, like, there's still so much content in that game. I never get bored of playing it. If a friend's like, "Hey, do you want to play Smash Bros?" Hell yeah, I would do. You know, it's just perfection. So I'm in no rush really. And until then, we have Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, right? So
yeah, true. No, I think it is just like you say though. Like as you said in the video, they would need to do something drastic to really make this a new game, because at this point, Ultimate feels very refined. It has, of course, all of the characters from before, and it still holds up very well now, years down the line. So they would need to do something completely different in this new game to distinguish it, because right now, I would fear that it would just be a Ultimate with very little added content. So Sakurai obviously wouldn't let that happen, so let's just see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, because it's weird to think about, but Smash Bros. End of this year, it's going to be 5 years old, isn't it? I mean, it came out December 2018, I think.
Oh, goodness, that's true.
Which is aging me as I say it. But it's thing is, it doesn't feel old. I mean, even like I remember, it's weird to think about, because on my old channel, which is it's taken down, so you can't watch anything. Don't even try.
No,
but
Nintendo Nator.
Quiet you. But I had, and I can still watch them, I had videos of me reacting to like the Smash Bros 4 debut trailer. And it's weird in some ways it doesn't feel that long ago, but like it's weird to think back then I was playing Smash Bros Brawl, which I've been playing since I was like 10, you know. And that game at the time, it didn't feel old. That felt, and it's the exact same with Ultimate, even though it's been 5 years, it feels kind of timeless. So 4 to Ultimate was a very unique situation where there was a new game within about 5 years, less than that even maybe. But I don't feel like we need one at the moment, so we'll tell eventually. But I'm content for now, at least.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we're good for now. I don't feel the need for a new one. We just have to wait. I think it's got to be the next console, right? So we'll just see when that happens.
Let him make Kid Icarus 2 before then. We can dream.
Please. Yes.
But that is it for our news for this month's podcast. So, but we're not done yet, because we of course have our final segment of the podcast, Games Time, baby, where we discuss any games that we've been playing throughout the month. And look, first of all, of course, we preface this the usual. We're both still playing Tears of the Kingdom. It's ongoing. We're not there yet. God, but I don't know. I feel like I might be done with it by next month, but I don't want to guarantee that. So we'll see. I don't know how you're doing, Kai. I know you said you haven't played it in a bit, so
I'd be lucky to finish it before this year ends at this point, with how much I'm trying to do in it. Yeah.
Very fair point. But I do at least have something to talk about other than that. But I'm going to let you go first, Kai, because I know you had something small you played in the meantime. Do you want to let that one go?
Yeah, well, something small in multiple meanings.
Yeah.
I tried the Pikmin 4 demo, and obviously the full game is out now. I've not picked it up yet. I am planning to, I think. But, once Zelda's done. But yeah, no, in the meantime, I played the demo on stream, and it was fun. I think the demo does suffer from tutorial hell. Well, not even necessarily tutorial hell. It's just there's a lot of unnecessary dialogue that feels like it should be skipped, or at least be made optional in some sense. Have your data guides for basic information so that experienced players can just go right through.
It was competing
at the beginning of the game, toggle it.
Yeah, it was competing with Inazuma 11 for becoming a visual novel for a little bit at the start there. But
it was, and I grew very tired of that quickly. But in terms of the gameplay itself, it seemed good. You've got more of the same classic Pikmin of exploring the world, getting a new Pikmin in. There's the cool stuff like the modern house, which is going on, your new Pikmin types. Ochi is there. And, dungeons, which I never really got to fully explore, but they're kind of back from Pikmin 2. And that's a good thing, because it's it expands how much content is in the game by a lot.
Yeah.
It's like if Skyrim, it's like Skyrim with or without caves and dungeons in that. It's a very different size game. So, yeah, of course I didn't get to experience the whole thing. I guess in general, to preface this, I played a lot of Pikmin 3 on the Wii U, and I played using the gamepad where you touch the gamepad screen with your stylus. And I really, really liked that gameplay style, even though most people would just use the Wii remote. But I only ever used the gamepad, so I got really worried coming to Pikmin 4 because I was like, oh, I have to use a controller now, I'm not really sure. But I picked it up very quickly, and I actually quite like it. Of course, it can be a little bit jank at times, but in general, it was pretty reliable. I had no real complaints. So, yeah, game looks clean, sounds clean, plays clean. Just get rid of some of those text boxes, and I think you're good to go.
I mean, the thing is, like, because I'm not really much of a Pikmin fan. I've only tried to play one and never finished it because it's too hard and scares me. But it's like I played this demo and like outside of like I did get a bit frustrated with the tech stuff, but a lot of it seemed good. But I was a bit like unsure. You know, I was like, I don't know how Pikmin fans are going to receive this. But looking at, I don't know if you've been following the critics' reviews, Kai, but people are raving about this game. Like, apparently, it's like people are saying it's genuinely like a Game of the Year contender for them, and like easily the best Pikmin experience. Apparently, it's quite long as well for a Pikmin game, reaching up to like 30-40 hours if you want to do everything. Which I was surprised by quite how positive the reception was for this. So clearly, people are loving it. Which is, again, because I was a bit unsure how it would be received, especially after, you know, all these years waiting for it. It's definitely been a long time since it was first announced. But I'm glad to see it seems to be living up to the hype. So I'm sure when you get around to it, you'll probably love it too.
Yeah, no, it seems really good. I think my one other gripe with it, which I've not really seen talked about much, is there's not really... this might be changed during the game, I only know this from the demo, but I was sorely missing having multiple captains to play around with, and specifically using the go here command with them so that I could be multitasking. That was like my favourite part. You know, I have different captains with different jobs, and they all go off and do them, and I was like, oh, that adds a whole new layer to Pikmin. And it's the reason I've never really been that interested in the first two games, because although they have their own merits, I want to be able to direct one captain while I do another thing. You can't really do that in Pikmin 2 a lot of the time. You just have to leave someone where they are. And in Pikmin 4, of course, you have Ochi, who I think you can do the go here command with. But, of course, it's not the same, so... maybe that changes into the game. I'm not actually sure, but for now it's like you know,
it also
taken away some of my top.
Because I know Free Deluxe actually added local co-op, which was apparently a really fun way to play the game. But I know that's not back. Local co-op is just like a I think it's like along the lines of Player 2 in Mario Galaxy. You know, where they control the little pointer and that. It's that kind of thing, I think. Which is a shame.
Yeah, you get a gun.
Yeah, you just mow down those enemies. I nearly said Octoroks. I'm too much Tears of the Kingdom. Too much. But it's a shame because I thought that could have been... Not that I have anyone local to play it with anyway, let's be real. But that's a neat feature that's gone. But apparently it seems that people think the trade-off is worth it, I suppose, given how well it's received. So, yeah, neat.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. Like, when I play it, I'll let you know, obviously. Yeah, but I'm glad people are enjoying it, definitely. It's been a very long wait for this game to exist. So at least it's being received better than, like, Battle League, which was the other one I was really hoping for in every direct.
I don't know, maybe... I can just dream that we'll get Hey Pikmin 2 one day. That's the goal. I'd probably enjoy that more, to be honest. That's probably more my speed. I'm not... But anyway, as for myself, actually, what I have been playing this month is I've sort of... It's funny, because over the past few years, I've sort of been playing, you know, the Professor Layton series on and off and talking about it, doing a replay of that. And I've been playing Ace Attorney for the first time. So it only made sense that I would eventually get around to playing Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright on the 3DS. I mean, oh, it's good. It's damn good.
Yeah.
It's like, when you think about it, it makes so much sense that you have, the two pointy boys who solve mysteries, both known for their, like, sort of over-the-top quirky characters and sense of humour and that. And you take the court cases of Ace Attorney and replace the investigation with Layton-style exploring and puzzles. And it just works. Like, it is like some of the best gameplay of both parts, both series, combined into the perfect package. And I'm so glad that I was able to try this out. I mean, you can't get it on anymore unless you buy it second hand, because goodbye eShop. But maybe they'll release it on the Switch one day. Who knows? Both series are making a bit of a comeback. But I'm glad I was able to pick it up, especially because it actually makes really good use of the 3DS. Like, I've never played an Ace Attorney game in 3D before, but with like the objections popping out at you and the entire town you visit of Labyrinthia being so beautifully designed and that, exploring it really was a treat on the 3DS. Especially with special shout out to music, of course, which is always good in both these series. So you include remixes from both of them and you're onto some god tier stuff. But it's just, as well as, looking and sounding great, it is just so much fun to play. I mean, it is very much the broader story is Layton. Full-on, ridiculous, batshit crazy Layton. I mean, down to the point that you go to a town and there's some mystery about the town you have to solve, which is every single other Layton game. And just like every other single Layton game, the actual explanation is complete ridiculous bullshit, but in the best way possible. And I won't spoil anything.
When you were going into that final case and you were explaining to me, I told you just one thing. It's a Layton game.
It is. It absolutely is. But it really works. Like, not to dunk on Miracle Mask too much, because I thought it was still alright, but that game I kind of fell a bit flat for me, the story. I didn't really care too much about the mystery. But I really loved Labyrinthia. Just having this like medieval style town with witch trials is such an interesting concept and take on the court system. But all the little moments from it and trying to unsolve the riddles, and not that you can ever predict it or see it coming, but it all just fell to place really well for me. And even, of course, the individual trials as well are just your classic Ace Attorney style of escalating so quickly and going from 0 to 100 in a matter of seconds, with the added depth of magic, and having to solve cases based on how magic works is a really unique way of doing it. Not to mention, like, this game experiments with some stuff great Ace Attorney would later pick up, such as multiple witnesses at the stand, and that is really this game's main Ace Attorney gimmick, because it goes wild with it by the end. It is bonkers how many witnesses you're switching between. But in like the best way possible. And I mean, of course, the fact that seeing the dynamic of Layton always knowing what's going on, with Phoenix Wright just bullshitting his way through things and trying to catch up, it provides a lot of humour, as you'd expect. But also this story goes places I really did not expect them to go. I obviously can't say anything because spoilers, but it gets dark and has so many moments where, like, can they do that? Are they allowed to do that to this character? And it's constantly surprising, and the way it deals with that, and having like moments where Phoenix Wright and Luke get to spend time together and have a heart-to-heart, and Layton and Maya have a little dynamic between them as well. It constantly changes that and provides really interesting looks at the characters that you don't get even in the main series. And a special thing as well, like the individual, because Ace Attorney is known for having more of the smaller stories being the bigger deal, and that still holds up here, where each of the characters in the court cases, you really feel for them and what happens to them. All this, without spoilers, everything to do with the character of Belduke was really like, that hit really hard, that stuff. Like, there's so many great moments in there, in that trial in particular, but it was just great. It was all around, like I said at the start, it just sort of hit the peaks of both series and then combined them together in a way that accentuated both of them. And it's hard to top. Like, this is up there with like Great Ace Attorney for me as one of my favourites of these kind of games, it really just nailed every direction. God, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, it's the perfect collaboration of these two styles. I won't repeat it, but it is just a really, really good combination, and you couldn't ask for better, and it delivers, because I feel like they could have very easily gone sort of a more boring route in this, where they just they just go on like a really average adventure, and the cool part is that it's all these characters. But no, they actually add the third angle of having an entirely original story with entirely original characters on top of everything else, with Labyrinthia and everything there. That's what makes it cool to me, is like, because Layton, Layton has like stuff that looks supernatural, but it never has like just raw medieval magic, and neither does Phoenix Wright either. But it's one of those things where you think both series easily have dipped their toes into that kind of thing, and they just throw it into an all-out story. It feels like a full Layton game, and it feels like a full Phoenix Wright game.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it, is it hasn't relied on being a collaboration. It uses that, makes both series better, like you say, and then also does something new with it. It's one of the best collaborations I've ever seen. Maybe the best.
It might
game
be
in like collaboration in terms of what it delivers.
But even before you get into the crossover stuff, which is of course the best part of it, like the fact that you sort of start with a section from each of their perspective to sort of ease into both gameplay styles, and like the Ace Attorney case that is sort of your tutorial one is one of the best Ace Attorney cases out there. I thought, like, it's so much fun. The one on the ship with like the chef and everything. It's so much personality and so much, like the breakdowns hilarious. It's got so much voice acting as well, more than I expected. Like even more than like Great Ace Attorney had in that. It was really cool to see some of those lines, and have the animated cutscenes were really neat as well when we got them. It just like there was so much effort and love put into this from both series, and I really like, if they're struggling to think of what to do next for Ace Attorney, make a sequel to this, make another one. Like, yeah, you really can't go wrong.
I mean, Layton's making a comeback as well, of course, with New World of Steam, so like, it's not impossible. It's genuinely got a chance, and I feel like it wouldn't be too difficult to do in a way. Like, you just do more of an original story featuring both sides. You just follow the same reasons why this game has been so good, and do it again, and I would be okay with that. I had a couple new concepts in there, of course, and maybe a couple other characters for each of the series. Make your new original story, but as long as you follow that reason why people love this game so much, just do another one. Honestly, it was just really generally like this is a serious contender for like one of my favorite games I've played this year, in a year full of heavy hitters, And like I could make some small criticisms, things like I loved all the original characters, but I feel like some of them could have used a bit more. Like I think Darklaw could have used a bit more earlier on in the story, and that would have been nice to see because I really liked that character. And I feel like Barnum's story wraps up a little bit quickly, So there's little small bits like that but when your main complaint is I want to see more of these characters, that's a good complaint to have. So. And it's such a minor one in the grand scheme of things, because it's just nails it in every aspect of the game, really. So, God, it was good. But, very, very solid game.
Yes, and I've got the soundtrack on repeat now. It's god tier. But that is pretty much it, really, for this podcast. I'm guessing you don't have any other games this month to talk about, Kai, just to double check.
That's all from me.
Yeah, that's it. So, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Nice shorter one. It happens every now and then. But, in the meantime, of course, if you want to catch us elsewhere, Kai, where can people find you at?
First off, I like how a 40-minute video is now one of our short ones.
It is.
It shows how much we waffle. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Fascurreyn, now playing through Inazuma 11.3, which I'll probably talk about like either next month or the month after, finishing the trilogy. Also, again, my YouTube is up as usual, all of my Xenoblade stuff is there, so feel free to look at that. Nothing new is being posted, but there's like 120 something videos
Yeah.
I've already posted. I think it's like 150 maybe at this point. There's a lot there.
Absolutely, check it out. There will be links in the description below, as well as a link to our friend Sam, our graphic designer, who makes all the logos and thumbnails for our channel, and he's coming to England, so God help us. But in the meantime as well, of course, for BunchaJokahs, we'll have more content coming. We'll have our monthly podcast the first Sunday of each month. We don't really know what else really, but Tears of the Kingdom coverage eventually. Gameplay series like Shrine will be coming down the line, and some Mario Party maybe, and discussions and reactions on any big Nintendo Directs that happen and whatnot. So all of that you can find on BunchaJokahs, either on YouTube or audio-only versions on podcasting sites such as Spotify, etc. But that's it for now, so we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye!
See ya! Oh god, Sam is on a flight here right now.